Summer goes fast. We all know it. We feel it every single year. But what if this summer was different? What if instead of looking back in September wondering where it went, you actually savored it? Today, I am going to show you how. Stay with me.
Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Kustas, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies.
Hello, and welcome back to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Custis, and someone who has been thinking a lot about summer lately. Not just summer, but how quickly it passes, how we wait for it all year, and then before we know it, it's gone. I think it's hitting me a little bit harder this year because my son is getting ready to start his senior year. And if you're a mom, you already understand what I'm about to say. Every season just feels precious. Every summer feels a little different. And I know next summer will not look like this one. And that's life. It's beautiful and it is bittersweet. But this is, I feel like, the last full summer before he becomes a senior in high school. And I know just from the experience with my daughter, it changes after they graduate. So I also remember that as a former teacher, I remember feeling this every single year. The kids would finally get out of school and this slower pace would begin. And then somehow you blink and it's August, and then it's back to school shopping. It's the schedules, it's the sports. Life is always speeding back up. And every year I remember I would think, how did that go so fast? And that's exactly what I want to talk about today because I don't want this to be another episode about productivity because, first of all, I think there's a lot to be said about that. I don't want to give you a summer reset checklist either or a list of all the things that you can improve. I don't want to do that. I want to do something a little bit different for you. I want to talk about how to create a summer you will actually remember and how to savor it, how to be present for it, how to curate little moments and rituals and experiences that turn into the kind of memories you carry with you for the rest of your life. Because here is what I've come to believe. This is not really an episode about summer. I want to preface it with that. I've come to believe that summer is just the vehicle. What we're actually talking about is how to stop letting life pass you by, how to be awake to your own life while you are living it. And this is actually exactly what I'm going to be teaching inside of the Glow Up School too. I'm going to be teaching about the rituals, the rhythms, the micro habits that when you weave them into your everyday life, they start to change everything. And I just want to give you a taste of that today because I think it is so important. It really has changed my life the last couple of summers, just leaning into this. And I know for sure this episode is even going to be some accountability for me to also lean into it even more so this summer. That's why I love doing the work that I do, whether it be online on my social media or in my podcast. It's always a mirror that is that reflection, right? So it's seeing me back and helping me to stay accountable to things. So, anyways, have you ever noticed? I'm just curious, have you ever noticed that some summers become part of, I guess the best way to put it would be to become part of your story? You remember specific summers years later. And it's not necessarily because of what happened, but it's actually because of how you felt during that summer. And maybe it's the people or it's the slowness. Maybe it's the, I don't know, spontaneous moments that somehow became the ones that you never forgot. And then, I don't know about you, but for me, there are these summers that feel like a blur. You know that they happened and you're like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. But when you try to remember the details and come up with the specifics, there's not much there for you. And I don't know, I don't think it's about necessarily a big vacation. I mean, sure, there might be some of those big vacations in there that you really remember. I don't even think it's necessarily about more time. I think the difference is attention. And it's the presence, it's the intentionality. Whether you were a kid or an adult and you didn't even know it necessarily, the summers that we remember are the ones we actually lived out the most, not the ones that we were rushing through. And the good news is, as moms or, as adult women, you don't need a lot to create a memorable summer. You just need to be a little bit more alive and awake in the summer that you're already in, right? And the season that you're in. And one of the things that I've learned, and one of the things, again, that I teach is that transformation doesn't necessarily happen through these massive overhauls. It happens again through those small rhythms, those tiny little rituals, those micro habits that I don't know, seem to almost be so simple that you're like, oh, I forgot. That's a micro habit that I've created and it matters. Until one day you realize everything has quietly shifted, right? So all those small moments start to add up, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, everything has shifted for me. And I just happen to feel like summer is the perfect time and the perfect season to practice this. So, we're going to talk about a few ideas, a few of them that I have embedded into my life. And the first one, I've talked about this on another podcast because it is really a big deal to me, especially in the golden hour. But this one is so simple, it almost feels too obvious. But don't let the simple part of it fool you because this small little act has the power to change the entire trajectory of your day. So, I want to just say, whatever your morning drink is, for me, it's always, you guys know, what is it? Coffee. Of course, it's always coffee. But again, I know that some of you are out there drinking tea or green juice or your favorite water with some lemon in it, whatever it is. I want you to pick up that mug or that glass and I want you to take it somewhere intentional, not your desk, not the couch with your phone, okay? Somewhere that gives you a moment of peace. Now, in my opinion, there is something magical about a front porch. My husband and I were actually just talking about this last night. If you have one, use it this summer. We had one last year in our little rental, and let me tell you, I took advantage of it every single use it. There's a reason front porches existed before screens did. Because think about it, they were the original gathering place. They were the original slow down space, the place where neighbors would talk to each other, and the mornings where, people would just observe life and the nature outside. And it was like a slower pace that made sense. As a matter of fact, I giggle because, again, the pandemic was hard, but there were some good things that came out of it. And one of the things that always makes me giggle is the fact that our neighborhood literally became this like Mr. Rogers neighborhood. People were out walking more, riding their bikes, sitting on the front porch, on their patio. We have patios more so than a porch. But what's so cool about it is that my husband, who is literally the Mr. Rogers of our neighborhood, go figure. If you want to get to know him a little more, go listen to our episode, our couples episode. But he literally is Mr. Rogers, but he would ride his bike and walk around all day, every day, just to get out of the house. And, he loves the outdoors. But one of the things that's funny is that he literally still to this day has clients, people that became his clients because he would go and walk and just go take a walk, but then he would say hi to people. And then after a few days, that hi would become a little bit more of a conversation. And then they get to know each other. And it just goes on and on and on. It was about relationships and building that through the front porch. So, anyways, I just want to say that it really is one of those things that if you step onto your front porch, or maybe it's even your backyard, it doesn't really matter. Even just for 5 minutes, I want you to feel that morning air. I want you to watch the world wake up. Even if you're not there for a sunrise, that's fine. You don't have to be. But it can even be your favorite chair by a window. I'm saying you want to probably look outside and see when that light comes through, or if you're sitting in the sunshine or whatever that is, just claim this as your day. And I'm telling you, there's something extra special about letting that morning light hit you. There really is. So imagine like light and your favorite drink in hand. It's a double bonus. And I'm also going to say your nervous system is going to thank you. And that to me is the smallest possible act of taking care of yourself. Just doing one simple thing like that. And then here's where the micro habits happen. You build on it, right? So while you're there drinking this coffee, getting the sunlight, set an intention while you're there. It doesn't have to be this huge, elaborate thing. It can just be one word, it can be one feeling, one thing you want to bring into your day. And then just sip and breathe and be there for like 5 minutes, 10 if you can steal them. Believe me, no time is going to be wasted here, I promise you, because this becomes the foundation of everything else throughout the day. So it's just a really cool thing. So grab your favorite beverage for the morning and go take a seat in your favorite spot, preferably somewhere that you are going to have the outside world in front of you. Okay. All right. The next one. This one is daylight dream journaling. Okay, so let me explain. I want to reframe how we think about journaling for a second because I'm not talking about processing your feelings at midnight. This is not what I'm talking about for this one. I'm talking about something totally different. So I want you to think of your journal. Okay, I know this is going to sound funny, but think of it as your romance, not with another person, but with your own future. Because here's the thing, summer is going to provide the most perfect backdrop for this. Think about it. There's warmth, there's expansion. For some of us, there's some slower mornings, even if it's in on the weekends. If you're working, I get it. I'm still working too, so sometimes I just have to steal those moments. Also, in the summertime, you have longer days. And I just want you to use this time to completely reimagine your life, unfiltered. No one is reading this but you. And I love to call this daylight dream journaling because these are not passive dreams. These are dreams that you are actively creating. This is your unfiltered space to write about how you want to feel, what you want your life to look like, what you're calling in, what you're saying yes to, and what you're finally ready to maybe release. So log all of that. Log all of your aspirations. Write them out like they're already happening. And what I would love for you to do is I'd love for you to just describe the life you're building in really vivid details. What does it feel like? What does a day in that life look like? Who's around you? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Because I just feel like summer has a way of opening us up. Because again, the pace just slows down just enough that we can actually hear ourselves think. And then when we create that space, we often start to hear things that we completely miss during the busier seasons. I do believe that summer almost is like begging for us to listen to yourself. So use that time for your journaling. Okay. Number three. Now I have to be real with you. I'm in the desert. So if you are too, or if you're anywhere that summer heat is truly no joke, you understand what I mean when I say that during the summer we deal with cabin fever. I know people don't get it unless they know they know. Because here's the thing, when it's hot outside, going outside is not exactly the invitation that it sounds like. But summer also brings something we do not get all year. And that is the lake and the beach and the day trips. The places where we get, even the mountains, we get to explore nature and it's so present and it's so beautiful that you can't help but feel it kind of recalibrate something inside of you. And I am going to say we always head to the lake for a little bit. My husband has his office in New Hampshire, so that's like our favorite magical place is to get to the lake either in Maine or in New Hampshire. And then of course we love to head to the beach. So you'll see us at the beach. For those of you new around here, you'll see me podcasting from the beach this summer because we always get to a place out there. And I just want to say, even if it's just for a day trip, to get out into nature, because I truly believe that it changes us. And again, I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm not saying it dramatically changes us, but maybe for some it does. And maybe it's not even instantly. But if you do this, you will feel this recalibrating happening. And when I'm outside and when I'm actually in it, not just like passing through it, because we do that a lot, I just start to think differently. I love to go put my chair in the sand at the beach and just be able to just watch the waves and just think. I don't have to go in the water, but I do. I know that I breathe differently. I notice more. Believe it or not, I do believe that sometimes it's like I can even make my problems feel a little smaller because my perspective gets bigger. So it's a very interesting thing that happens. And I want to add this, there is something about bare feet on the earth and about the water, about the sky that goes so wide you can't see the edge of it. And it reminds you of the scale of the universe. Like, we're not living, because sometimes I do feel like we're trapped in a bubble, right? Some of you might be feeling that. You might be feeling that in your own town, whether maybe even in social media. Like, you might just feel a little trapped. When you go and get out in nature, you're able to see a different perspective of the expansion, that it's so much bigger than what we realize. And sometimes that's what we need. That's what our body needs. I think that's why grounding is also so important, getting our feet on the earth to remember that we are also a part of something so much bigger than just the to-do list, than just the things that we have to get done. So I'm going to encourage you to plan the trip, go to the water, find a trail, sit in the grass, whatever's your jam. Watch the sunset all the way to the end. That's one of my favorite things too. I get that from my daughter. My daughter is a sunset girly. She loves to do that. So let nature do what it has always done. Let it ground you. Let it heal you and remind you who you are and that you are one with this universe. I think it's so cool when we get to really start to embrace that and think about that. All right, now, number 4. This one feels especially important for those very ambitious, driven women because I just say this with the most love. When did you last do something just because it brought you joy? Not because it was productive, not because it grew your business, not because it even led you anywhere, just because it felt good. When was the last time? And again, these are always mirrors for me. This is always good for me and accountability, but I'm really talking about like reading, gardening, painting, baking something ridiculous. Maybe you saw some crazy recipe that you're like, oh my gosh, I have to bake that. When was the last time maybe you danced in your kitchen or you went out and just took some photos, like took your like good camera? I mean, I know the iPhone camera is great too, and the Android camera, they're all great. But I'm just saying, like, be intentional about going and taking photos of what's around you. Learning something new purely for the delight of it. When was the last time you did that? Because I think that so many of us along the way have forgotten how to play? And I feel like summer is the most perfect invitation to remember how to do that, to go out and play. I mean, how many times do you do that? Especially when you have younger kids, it is such a great reminder. But as your kids get older, we get in our, set in our ways and we're not doing that as much. And I also have a little challenge for you. So, where are my romance readers at? Because I need to talk about this. As I was thinking about ideas for this episode, I was thinking about my summers and I laugh because my grandma Gigi and my mom, they taught me this ritual every summer, at least one romance novel. That's the rule. You curl up somewhere comfortable, you escape into a story, and you just let your imagination go somewhere completely delicious. And you remember that reading for pure pleasure is one of the greatest joys of being alive. I know I'm being dramatic, but it seriously is so fun. And I have not done that in a while. I have not done that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I need to do this too this summer. So maybe this is a challenge for both of us, at least one this summer. And no guilt. I'm just saying it's just for joy. But my point is that whatever your version of play is, give yourself permission to do it this summer, not to wait any longer, and not as a reward for finishing everything else, just because you deserve it. That is reason enough. Go out and play, learn a new skill, do something, and read that romance novel. Let me know if you have any book selections. If you have any good ones, you need to DM me or you need to reach out because let me tell you, I am always on the hunt. And maybe we could start a book list for the gals that want to read a romance novel. I haven't read one in a while, so I need some suggestions. All right, next one, number 5. This one might be my favorite. And I say that knowing how much I love all of them because I really do. But I have literally watched this practice change people's lives. And I am not saying this lightly. I am not. We spend so much time waiting for that dream vacation, waiting for the dream home, waiting for the perfect circumstances before we actually allow ourselves taste the life that we actually want. So what if, I love what ifs, what if you stopped waiting? What if you created little pieces of your dream life right now? What if? I love to call these mini experiences. So, this is what I mean. Maybe you can't stay at a luxury resort, but you can go have coffee there one morning and you can sit in the lobby and you can feel the atmosphere and let yourself belong there. Maybe a full vacation isn't in your budget. Just plan a one night staycation and make it so beautiful and so intentional. Another one of my favorites is if you have a dream car, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the one, go test drive it. Walk into the dealership, get in the car, feel what it feels like to sit in it. I'm telling you, it's not silly. That is visualization made physical. And I am telling you here, I want to tell you about one of my clients because this story has stayed with me and it just literally happened. Now, mind you, she was a client of mine when I first launched the Glow Up School back in the day, and I wasn't even calling it the Glow Up School, it was something else. And she continues, we check in all the time and she pops in and out. But she literally just messaged me, and I had seen it on social media, but I was like geeking out when she actually reached out. Anyways, she toured an open house, okay? And she told me that as she walked through each room, she let herself actually be there, be so present, not just looking around, but like really being there. And she imagined her furniture, her family all in there. And her family was with her, her kids were with her, but she imagined like the mornings in the kitchen and then, and she was like, this is my dream house. This is it. And then she went into the backyard with permission, of course, and she watched her kids run around that yard. And she told me she literally cried. And it wasn't from sadness. It was from the beauty of the experience that she had just given herself, from the feeling of a future. She was actively creating that mini experience. And she said, I know this is going to be my house someday. And she told me that experience has been just like with her, so in her. And it just lit something up inside of her that she carries to this day. So that is what mini experiences do. What they do is they actually close the gap between where you are and where you're going. And they make that dream feel real. They make that dream feel accessible and already on its way to you. And this is something I teach my clients all the time. So, summer, again, with all of its possibility and warmth and magic, it's the perfect season to practice mini experiences. So, that's another challenge for you this summer. And you can do that any time of the year, but make it intentional. This is all about your summer. Okay, number 6. Women are craving connection right now. Real connection, not scrolling through someone else's life, but actual in person, belly laugh, tell me everything connection. And I want to name that because I think so many women are longing for it and not quite giving themselves permission to prioritize it. Okay. Not just even giving yourself permission, but permission to prioritize it. So I'm going to just say, host the dinner party. Even if it's casual, it doesn't matter. Even if it's paper plates and just good music, pull out a deck of cards. Plan the night out to hear live music. That's one of my favorite things to do. Go with your person or your people. Say yes to the spontaneous thing and create the memory that makes you think about it and laugh about it for years. Because again, here's what I know. Summer connection is not just fun. It is our fuel. It fills us up back in ways that nothing else can. And it matters especially because what comes after summer? School starts, fall schedules, the holiday rushing toward us faster than we are ready for it. At the end of summer, we're already seeing the Halloween stuff getting put out. It is different than all of the months that are going to be right ahead of us. So I want you to just reframe it and think about this as your recharge season. These are the moments that get to fill your cup so full that you can pour from it when life tends to speed back up. So don't skip them. Protect these moments, prioritize them like the necessity they actually are. Because here's the truth of the matter, at the end of our lives, we're not going to remember most of the things that we produced or purchased or crossed off a list. What we're going to remember is we're going to remember the people. We're going to remember the laughter, the conversations that went on too long because no one wanted to leave. We're going to remember the moments that somehow became stories later. Because here's the thing, connection creates memories. And I do believe that memories create a meaningful life. They do. I really believe that. So here is what I really want to say as we start to close this out today. So many of us, and I've been guilty of this too, so many of us are living in someday. Someday when life slows down. Someday when work gets easier. Someday when the kids are older. Here's one. Someday when we have more money. Someday when things finally feel just right. But here's the truth. Someday is not a day of the week. Life is happening right now, in this season, this summer, in this version of your story. Because next summer's going to be different. I'm not saying it's going to be worse or better. It's just going to be different. Like I said, my son's going to be stepping into a new chapter. Your family will have shifted somehow. Life will have moved as it always does, which is exactly why this summer, this one right here, it matters. You do not need a complete overhaul per se. You don't even need a perfect plan, but what you do need is small intentional choices made consistently with being present, with being in love for yourself, for the people around you. Maybe it is just a morning on your porch with something warm in your hands, but it's about you actively creating it. Maybe it's just the feet in the water, whether you're at the lake or in a stream or in the ocean, or maybe it's just that hobby that you decide to do for pure joy. And don't forget the mini experience. That's, I'm telling you, it's life changing. And then I also want you just imagine a dinner table surrounded by the people who make you feel most like yourself. These are not small things, even though they are like just small things that you can put together. They're not small when you think of it, that these are the things a beautiful life is made of. This is what it looks like when you are awake and alive to your own life. And so that's why this summer I want you living it. Because one day you're going to look back at it and you're either going to remember rushing through it or fully living it. And I know for sure which one I'm choosing this year. And I hope that you're going to join me in that. So here's the thing, everything that I shared with you, the rituals, the rhythms, the micro habits, the intentional living, I also want to just share with you this is exactly what we go deep on inside the Glow Up School experience. And I want to tell you about it right now because doors are closing very, very soon. And I don't want you to miss this cohort because, again, it's the perfect time this summer. So I want to speak directly to the woman who is listening right now. This is for the intentional woman. This is for the woman who knows something has got to give, who is ready to recalibrate, to rearrange things, to create maybe some new rituals that feel exactly like her, and to step into the identity she has always been perfectly wired to be. The woman who is ready to show up in this world more confident, more comfortable in her own skin, with more joy, with purpose, with ease, who wants to take a breath without it always being about do and prove, who wants to live a life she actually loves, who wants to be her own favorite person, done with all of that stinking shame and the second guessing and the not enoughness. I want the woman who is ready to look at herself and really, really look and actually like what she sees. And I also want to address something because I know what some of you are thinking. Wait a minute, if I'm doing all these other things and then my busy life, I don't have time for another thing. I hear you. I see you. I do. And I want to be really clear. This isn't about adding more to your plate. Glow Up School experience isn't a bunch of Zooms that you have to show up to every week. It's not homework that's going to stack up. It's not another obligation that makes you feel behind. What it is it's a curated rhythm. This is why it has been completely revamped, because it's a rhythm that when you lean into it, it can transform your entire life. And it will. It has mine. I am so serious about this. I literally took my top 3 programs I've ever designed, the ones that have actually moved the needle the most for women, and I combined them all. And then I added something really special. I added tools for frequency healing and emotional healing that I cannot wait for you to experience. There is nothing quite like what we have put together in this. And the experts we have brought in, oh, girl, some of the best out there. Women who are going to speak directly to where you are and help you get to where you're going. And again, this isn't more doing, this is intentional becoming. And it fits into your real life, trust me, because that's exactly how we designed it. And I only opened up 12 spots because I want this to feel intimate. real conversations, real support, real growth, not a crowd, a community. And I'm going to be right there in it with you. And again, I am never here to be the guru. I'm just a guide who genuinely believes in what you are capable of. So I'm saying all of this because the doors are closing soon. The link will be in the show notes, so go check it out. I would love to have you at the table. And before I let you go, I want to ask you to do two things. First, I would love for you to share this episode. Send it to a friend, a sister, another woman in your life who maybe needs this permission to slow down and actually savor this season. Because sometimes we just need someone else to say, hey, it's okay to enjoy your life. You don't have to earn it. You're allowed to be present for it. You have full permission. So that's why I ask you to share, because we just never know who this can land for. And second, I would love for you to send me a message and tell me what is maybe one of the rituals or a micro habit or maybe even one of those mini experiences you're intentionally going to create this summer. I genuinely want to know. So you can screenshot this episode, you can share it on your stories, you can tag me because I am doing every single one of these right alongside of you. I'm going to be talking about them through the summer, and I would love for us to do it together. And your best summer yet is not somewhere out there in the far off distance waiting for perfect conditions. It's right here. It's in that morning quiet. It's in the pages. It's in the water. It's in a full room of women. So, in the small, beautiful, ordinary moments you choose to actually show up for, I say, keep rising, keep shining, and know your best day is waiting right here, waiting for you. And summer is right here waiting for you. All right, you guys, I hope you were inspired today, and I will see you next time. Have a good week, everybody.
Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.